Welcome back into the Fantrax Toolshed YouTube channel. Eric Cross with you here. Going to be continuing on my early 2023 positional rankings with the second base spot. But before we get into it, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button to this YouTube channel. Got a lot of great videos up lately. Player breakdowns on Hunter Green, Brayon Bayo, O'Neal Cruz, early 2023 rankings for starting pitcher, catcher, and first base, and a lot of live prospect video as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to see all of that. As I mentioned, second base today, the keystone. Very interesting position heading into 2023. And when I look at the position, it looks like I'm either going to be getting my starter early or fairly early, top, 80, 90 picks or so, or I'm going to be waiting a good long time because honestly, the 11th ranked second baseman and the 19th ranked or so, there's not a lot of difference there. It gets really hairy pretty quick. But let's get into it all here. The first three, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you already realize that I've kind of flip-flopped these first three around. I can't make up my mind on these three. It's almost, a coin flip after a coin flip after a coin flip to rank these three. But as of now, I'm recording this on Thursday night, October 20th. Right now, I have Jose Altuve 1. Kind of a bounce back year for Altuve. The speed came back after a couple years being absent, back up to 18 steals. Sprint speed isn't quite there, but the desire to is there, and he's always been a pretty smart base runner. Only got caught one time. The only real category he didn't contribute a ton in was RBI with 57. But hey, 28 home runs. The power's still there. He's still got the Crawford boxes to take aim on. His swing, his profile fits that ballpark well. And if those steals can stay, that's the X factor. Like we knew the bat is good. If those steals can stay, he'll be the number one second baseman this year because he's at a higher floor than Albies or Semien. And if he's providing that speed, he can hit 300. I think that gives him the ever so slight advantage over the next two. Marcus Semien was one of the best hitters in baseball after, the first couple months of the year. He wasn't very good to start the season, and anyone that invested a high draft pick on him was probably using some choice cuss words because he hit 157, 0 bombs in May or April, excuse me. 233 with just one home run in May, but after that, 287 with 7 home runs, 6 steals. 268, 6 home runs, 7 steals. 230, but still with 6 home runs, 1 steal. 319 in September with 6 home runs and 4 steals. Like I said, was one of the best all-around fantasy assets. Went 25 and 19 after June 1st. Not many others. I believe the only other one to do that was Kyle Tucker, if I recall correctly. So the average won't quite be there, but hey, 248 doesn't really kill you anymore. Like I said, 240 is the new 260, 250 is the new 270 these days. So really good 4 category producer that won't kill you in average either. So number 2 for me, Ozzy goes in at number 3 here. Everyone knows I love Ozzy. I've always been a big Ozzy guy, but he was battling injuries this past year, limited him to 269 plate appearances, and frankly, just wasn't that good in those plate appearances. The average has dropped in now 3 consecutive seasons from 295, 271, 259, 247. The power wasn't really there. He's only on about a 22 homer pace, a 21, 22 homer pace, which is still solid, but below the 30 he hit last year. Speed wasn't there either. He got caught on 5 out of his 8 stolen base attempts. Sprint speed was only 54th percentile. Yeah, I still really like Ozzy, obviously, but I just believe that the other 2 showed enough to move past him for this year at least. You can really order those 3 any which way you want to, and I'd have no issue with it whatsoever. The last one in my tier 1, but the one that's firmly in the bottom part of this tier, but I just couldn't put him in the next tier. I thought he belonged in tier 1. Jazz Chisholm, he might have the highest upside of this position. Look at what he did in just 241 plate appearances this year, 14 home runs, 12 steals. He had 254, 325, 535. It's a 281 ISO. 46.7% hard hit rate, 16.7% barrel rates. Made some slight improvements. He's slowly dropping that K rate, about 1 to 2%, every year. Walk rate jumped 2% this past year, but the whiff rate was still pretty high at 32.1%. Chase rate did decline a little bit, though. So I never expect him to hit for a high average, but give me 250. He hit 254 last year. I will take that. If that comes with 25-25 or 30-25, something like that, with maybe 80 to 90 RBI, 80 to 90 runs scored, I think he definitely get into that area. That'll make him a very, very valuable fantasy asset and pretty much be where Marcus Semien was this past year. Number 5, this is where it starts getting interesting. I'm gonna go with Andres Jimenez at number 5, former top prospect in the New York Mets system here. Finally broke out offensively. 297, 371, 466 slash line, 17 home runs, 20 steals, 69 RBI, 66 runs scored, and just 557 plate appearances. So was really on pace for about a 20-25 year with 80 plus runs and 85 RBI or so. He's one that you look at if you want to go look at Savant and be amazed. Don't go to Andre Jimenez's page. It's fine. He's not bad in any metric, but doesn't have the huge barrel rate, huge exit velo. They're about league average, even a tick below. Same hard hit rate, about league average. But he's one of those, he accumulates some of the parts type of guy. And I don't think what he did was, a fluke by any means. He's a great sprint speed, 94th percentile sprint speed, solid contact hitter as well. Zone contact was a little low, but he's definitely shown through the minor leagues that he can hit for a decent average, get on base at a decent enough clip. 371. I don't expect that, but even if he's down to 270, 340 or so OBP, I still think he can be about 15 plus home runs, 20 plus steals, solid amount of runs and RBI. I think once you look at the rest of this position, you know, you'll see why he's number 5 here. Number 6, Vaughn Grissom. Could probably move him ahead of Jimenez. You could probably move him down a couple of spots. It all depends on what is he doing in 2023. Did the Braves bring back Dansby? Do they bring in somebody else? How often is Grissom playing? You got to assume with how he performed offensively after his call up that he's probably got a spot where they move him to outfield, over to short if Dansby leaves. Obviously, you got Ozzie coming back. So, not really sure where he ends up, but I'm under the mindset that he's going to play at least close to regularly, give him 600 plus plate appearances, and that could be a even better line than Andres Jimenez. I think he's, a similar type of player, one that does a lot of things well without really standing out, but I think he does a lot of those things slightly better than Andres Jimenez, except for speed. I think Jimenez has him there, but again, this is a guy could be a 20 homer, 15 steal guy, hit you for, solid average. He's always been a good average hitter in the minor leagues. And even hitting low in the Braves order, I think that's still going to be a decent amount of runs and RBIs. That's a very deep and very talented lineup. So I'll put him at 6. Number 7, Tommy Edman. If you're looking for speed, this is your guy. The power it's always been very fluky, very inconsistent. It came in bunches this year. But hey, end of the year, 13 home runs is 13 home runs, 95 RBI, 32 runs scored. I think if you double-digit home runs with, 80 to 90, even more runs, 25 plus steals, solid 260-ish average. What he did this year, I don't think is totally out of the realm possibility for what he can do next year. So I think he's, a fairly safe, but maybe he lacks the upside to get into tier 1, but I think he's a fine tier 2 second baseman. That brings us to 8, and this is where it just really starts to fall off. Those are the 7 that I would feel comfortable with as my starter. Number 8, Trevor Story. Like, you see the list in front of you on the screen here. Man, I don't know how to value Trevor Story. He's a hard one because overall, like, hey, he had 16 home runs and 13 steals and 396 plate appearances. But yeah, that was most of that was in like this 3-week cluster, and I think it was May or June when he turned into freaking Babe Ruth mixed with Jackie Robinson, mixed with Willie Mays, mixed with whoever else. He was like the best hitter you've ever seen for like a few weeks, and then back to kind of crap after that, right? And I'm a Red Sox fan. I saw it firsthand. I watched all the games, and boom, it was like a switch flipped, and then that switch went back off. I don't know. I would love to dig in and I'd love to ask him, like, Trevor, what happened? But I think he's just going to be incredibly inconsistent. He's always been a guy that the durability has always been kind of a question mark. It's almost like his former Colorado teammate, Chris Bryant. Always seems to be something there that limits him or causes him to miss more time than you'd like. but hey, this is a guy could go 2020 this year. You know, average, could go up from 238. Fenway's a good BABIP boost ballpark in general. So this is a wide range of outcomes. He could be a top 5 guy. He could be out of the top 15. Who knows? But I feel 8 is a good middle ground there. Number 9, Jonathan India, another guy that is never going to be a StatCast darling, but I do believe I firmly believe he is better than what he showed this year. 100% believe that. Saw him live, not this past year, year before, 2021, and I believe it was August down in Philly when I was on there visiting friends and family. Cincinnati was in town. He lit up the game with a home run off of Aaron Nola. Like, India's a ball player. India's going to be a guy that plays a long, long time. And maybe he falls into that better in real life and fantasy, kind of mindset, which we hate. But this is a guy that can get you 20, around low 20s home runs a year, give you, close double-digit steals as well. Solid amount of runs scored because he's a good OBP guy, probably 350 plus for his career. And RBIs, maybe he gets you 60 to 70, not a lot in hitting high in that Cincinnati lineup, but I think he's going to be a nice bounce back and a good value pick in 2023 drafts. Finally, I could have gone a million different ways here for number 10. I have Ketel Marte. Don't like it, but look below. Brendan Lowe, super inconsistent. He could either hit you 40 home runs or completely suck and be not even rosterable. Gleyber Torres, we've seen he shows like spurts at times, but overall very inconsistent. Max Muncy, if he's healthy, but even when he's allegedly healthy this year, he wasn't doing much. Cronenworth is just kind of meh. Christopher Morel was really good, then he was really bad. He's like a not modern days. Javi Baez is still playing, but a new Javi Baez, maybe not quite as good as Javi Baez was at his peak. Then you got like the DJ LeMahieu's and Drury's of the world. So if I don't get one of those, top guys, I'm probably waiting. I don't have really any interest in Ketel Marte. I'm not going to be drafting Ketel Marte. He can't stay healthy. He can't. He said 1 year of over 70 runs, of over 14 home runs, over 60 RBI, and over 2 years over 10 steals. But basically, all those years that was 2019. That was it. He's 14, never have been above 14 home runs since. Like this, the production's not there. Average will probably be fine. He'll bounce back in the average department, I'm sure. But can he stay healthy? Can he perform? I don't have any faith he can put both of those together. So that is my early top 10 for this position. Again, if I don't get one of those early options, top 7 or so, which will probably be top 100 guys, I'm going to wait, maybe Trevor Story if he falls, maybe India if he falls, but it's a position that gets kind of thin pretty quickly, or I should say, like I said, second base 19 isn't much different than second base 11. So at that point, I'd almost just rather attack other positions and wait on this position, but we'll see how the draft board falls. But again, that's my early top 10 second base rankings here on the Fantrax Toolshed YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe below, and we'll be back with more videos soon.